Hello and welcome to Love Anything Art. Today I'll show you how I made this really pretty necklace. Another scrap clay. Hey, 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 welcome, welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. Yeah. Welcome, guys. I'm going to be doing a scrap clay project again today for you. I hope you enjoy these scrap clays. I certainly enjoy the patterns and such that these projects make. It's very random because of the random color choices that are inside of the scrap clays. So I really enjoy them and I hope you do too. I just need a little bit of clay. So I'm just going to choose the smallest amount I have. And I'll just toss around my baggie there. Dump out a little portion of that. Look, I'm just going through my scrap clay stuff. Yay! And if you are interested in making this, I'll leave a link in the description box below for you. And you can basically chop, dice, slice, smush, roll, do whatever you want to get the clay broke up. I'm just going to kind of randomly chop it up, just kind of play with it. Just do whatever makes you happy and just do your chopping. And I do want to welcome everybody to my channel while I'm just chopping away here. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope that you consider hitting that subscribe button. I do make videos every Tuesday, and I have about 200 videos for you if you want to binge watch those. And I have really some cool playlists with random things. And I do make other kinds of jewelry also, little fun knickknacks and trinkets and little charms. So if you like Halloween and Christmas kind of a stuff, I do have little charms that I've made for those seasons. Okay, I have mine all nice and chopped up, and basically you just want to take it, all your little clumps together, and just kind of work it into a ball. And basically you can kind of do whatever you want. You can roll it into a ball. I just decided to kind of play with mine a little bit here just to see if it would look any different in the end. I see all these little swirl patterns that they make online where it goes all the way from the outside to the inside and it makes a really cool like little swirl pattern in it. I'm sure y'all have seen those videos. But I was like, I'm just going to kind of play around with it and have fun a little bit with my clay. Just using the palm of my hand here and working it around and around and around and around, and starts to pull it into that tubular kind of a swirly pattern look, kind of like that, but only more swirled in the middle. But you can do whatever you want. You can roll it up, chop it up, dice it up, just get it into kind of a domed, kind of a ball-y shape like this. Once you got it however you want it to be, just gently flatten it. You do want the center part to be thicker or kind of pop up more than the sides. So just work it with the palm of your hand, and you can also use a roller and kind of roll out the sides down a little bit to kind of get it flattened a little bit more on the edge than the center part. And you have a flat little biscuit or a cookie. Cookies. Kind of domed in the center and flat on the outside. And I am going to use this clay here. You can use any color you want that looks good with your clay. I thought that this bronze color looked really, really nice with the colors in my scrap clay. So just choose a color that you like the best, and I'll just kind of show you what it looks like if you are interested in this clay color. I will leave a link in the description box below for you. But you can use any color that you like. I thought this color was super, super beautiful, so that's kind of another reason why I wanted to use it. But you need to roll it out pretty thin since we're going to be kind of shaving away some of this color. Just stretching it out to make sure it's as thin as possible. You can kind of feel it between your fingers. If it's going to start breaking, you'll know it's too thin. But I was able to stretch it pretty far. As you put it down on the scrap clay, just be sure to kind of work your finger around there to make sure you don't get any air bubbles. And I was actually super proud. I didn't see a single one in there. Usually I get one or two. But I did pretty good this time. Pat on the back. I am quite proud of myself. You can also use a piece of scratch paper just to kind of lightly burnish it to make sure everything's stuck together quite nicely. Trim away all of the excess clay. And remember, you can save that since it is nice fresh clay. Put it back with your original clay and use it for another day. Hey, hey! You'll just want to make sure that around the edges that it's stuck to the clay pretty good. You can just work it around with your finger, just kind of smoothing it out. You can also use your tool. You can pick it up and just kind of smooth out the edges there. And I would just recommend putting that on a piece of scratch paper for now. And I have this packaging baggie. It came with something I had ordered online. And I thought, you know what? I can use this for my clay stuff. Gotta reuse whenever we can. So I'm just using this instead of a baggie. Just make sure it's stretched out on your clay pretty good. Makes a nice bond. And then I'm going to use this lid. It went to a spice jar. Just be sure that you choose one that has a opening to where you can poke out your clay if for some reason it was to stick inside of there. But I didn't have a cutter big enough, so I had to improvise and walk around my kitchen for like 10 minutes trying to figure out what am I going to use. And I came up with this, so nice little handy dandy idea. Got to use what we have instead of buying new things all the time. I kind of like that ingenuity about it. Just use a little bit of force to kind of cut through that baggie, cut through the clay, go all the way through, all the way to the bottom. You can always finish cutting a little bit more if it for some reason didn't cut all the way through. Remove the baggie. And then your pieces around the end there. If it sticks, you could always cut it away with your knife or your tissue blade. And then there's little pieces there on the edge. I'm just going to kind of shave them away a little bit, just with the very tip of my tissue blade. And that's kind of why I put it on the paper, just so it was easily peelable from my surface. Just run your finger along there and get rid of all of those little extra pieces you cut away. You'll want to put it on your work surface, somewhere that it can stick now. We're going to be shaving off some of the upper layer of the clay, so you do want to make sure that it's nice, firmly in place so that it doesn't wiggle around on you. And you can get a nice, pretty cut. Just use the edge of your tissue blade to kind of slice up into the clay and pull it away. I would recommend trying to pull off a little bit at a time instead of big chunks, as best you can. I did have a spot on this video where I was cutting away, and you'll kind of see it here in a minute, but I was peeling away too much, and there was nothing I could do once the blade was already in there, so I just kind of pushed it down and tried to work it again, but it came out looking nice in the end, so that is what is important. Take away as much or as little clay as you would like, although I would recommend taking away as much of the upper layer as you can to expose that clay underneath, all that scrap clay. And be sure to save all of those scraps that you're cutting away because we will use them in just a few minutes. I kind of wanted to use as much of the scraps as I possibly could because I do have a ton of scrap clay. And it's probably kind of jagged on the top because you cut away a bunch of stuff, so just lightly burnish it or heavily burnish it, whatever you need to do, in between a piece of paper. You can also use your roller. And this time I'm going to put it back on the plastic bag that I had, kind of sandwich it in between there. And I'm going to cut away all of the messy rim or outside area of the clay. Get a nice fresh cut. And you can peel away any of the excess that might be stuck to that. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's kind of the beauty of the projects with the scrap clay. Their imperfections are quite beautiful. I'm going to take a smaller circle cutter and cut out a circle. You can kind of figure out where you want to cut it. Exactly in the middle, off to the left, off to the right, whatever you want. I am going to do mine closer to the top, kind of in the center, but closer to the top. Then just cut out that. You can use your finger to kind of smooth out that edge and make it more rounded instead of just kind of a flat drop off. I think that will kind of add to the piece and its beauty. Kind of has like a Hawaiian kind of a feel to it to me. The look of the clay and all the colors, just very beautiful and colorful, like Hawaii. I'm going to put dash lines around my clay, and then in a minute I will go ahead and make them deeper. But this is going to add a whole lot to the piece without doing a whole lot of work. So just going around making sure that my cuts are kind of evenly spaced out. Like I said, it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. And if you make a mistake, you can always run your finger across it, smooth it out, and then do it again. And then once you kind of have it the way you want, you can start making a deeper gouge or deeper cut into the clay. Once it is baked, we will fill that with paint. I'm going to use black paint. If you want to get a thicker kind of a cut into the clay, you can use the side of the tissue blade. Felt like this gave it more of an opening. That way when we put the paint in it later, it'll have more room for the paint to set inside. And I decided at the last minute I wanted to dome my piece, so I'm just using this dipping spoon that I have, pressing my clay onto the back of it. You can kind of see my video set up there. And just kind of press it into the clay. You can press it all the way down or just kind of in the center, which is kind of what I'm doing, just to kind of give it more of a domed shape. I thought it added a really prettiness to the piece. Now with all of those scraps that you cut away, you can make really pretty beads with these. So I'm just kind of dividing it all up and seeing how much I need for each bead. I'm going to make a couple of different sizes in beads, and this will also add a nice variety to my piece when you're looking at it when it's done. I'm going to use some toothpicks to skewer my beads so that I can bake them easier. And you don't have to make it perfect. You can kind of make it more organic and make the beads a little bit less rounded, make them more jagged. And I did bake mine And I did leave the back as scrap clay. If that bothers you, you can just put a layer of clay on the back and then rebake it. But I don't really mind. It's the back of the necklace and I'm going to be the only one that sees it. So now it's time to put on the paint. I'm going to use black paint. You can use whatever color complements your piece. You could use white if you wanted. You could use a beige color, a red if you have more like whites in your scrap clay. But I just feel like the black paint is going to be more of a stark contrast to my darker colors that I have. So that's just the color that I chose. Just be sure to use a really thin paintbrush to get down into the cuts. Go all the way down, and then you can just wipe away all of the excess paint that might be on top. Finish that up and let those dry. And voila, it's dry and ready to go. I am going to put a layer of resin only on the top. I'm not going to put any on the back. If you want to put it on the back of your piece or leave it raw, it's totally up to you. Whatever you feel works best for the piece that you're going to wear. And I did resin my beads too, and I just love this piece. I don't know, it just seems so Hawaii to me. When I went to Hawaii, it just kind of reminds me of all the colors that are there and the flowers and the landscape and the beautifulness that is Hawaii. I hope you enjoyed this video. I totally enjoyed making it and coming up with the idea. Please do consider hitting subscribe and tuning in every Tuesday. And if you are interested in any of the products that I have that I've used, like this one, this is a product that I bought on Amazon. I will leave a link in the description box below for you to check out if you want. It's got a really pretty rose gold color in there that that's the only reason why I bought it. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!